All right, another episode of Star Trek Europa. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Harvey. And yeah, hopefully we do better this time than the last couple times we've lost power. There is a storm supposedly coming again today, though, so we'll see.
Oh, another.
Yeah, well, there's tornado warnings or watches or whatever until like 10:30 tonight. But the weather looks good out there right now, so we'll see.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Brian, go ahead.
All right, my name is Brian. I'm playing Jorad Hage.
And that's all.
Yep.
Evelyn?
I am Evelyn Corbin. I am playing Dr. Dasavi Onayet.
Also, that is all.
That is all.
All right, chat, go ahead.
Yes, hello. I am Jack. I am playing Commander Arani Ambrose, as well as a number of other very fun characters. And I say more words than everybody else because I'm over at my own channel on twitch.tv/The People's Ascension many days a week, but most notably every Saturday running a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. It has drama, it has intrigue, it has politics. It's a fun time. So if you want some fantasy to go along with the sci-fi that we have here, come check me out. It's a good time. But I am excited to get through this game and hopefully no tornadoes.
Yes, hopefully. You can find me over at studiotempo.com, plus other places, I'm sure. I got a new TikTok coming out soon. It's going to be D&D related TikTok stuff, so I'm looking forward to making fun of people who I know on TikTok. I had something else I was going to say there, but I don't remember what it was, so let's go ahead and get into a quick recap. Where did we last leave off with everyone? We talked about this a second ago, but no one was listening then. Have you got anything?
We had just finished the interrogation of Varen. Koba and Mills were questioning her. Ambrose had gotten an invitation back to Narendra from Sub-Commander Toshari. And I suppose we should talk about why we're interrogating the Vulcans, because Silva and Tong had been looking at the communication logs and all the weird, and Silva had said they had determined it was definitely Vulcan and Romulan in origin. Silva said she hasn't seen anything that sophisticated since the Obsidian Order. So they decided we scanned for any anomalies, and the only Vulcans pinging on the ship are the ones that are supposed to ping on the ship. We didn't come up with any unaccounted for life forms. So we put a lockdown on the ship and are going through and integrating all the Vulcans.
Right.
And Toshari very kindly contacted us to let us know that she'd heard about the security crackdown and was very, very concerned.
Yep.
Was that specifically Ambrose, or is that the whole ship? I don't remember.
She specifically had called out to Ambrose.
Yeah, I thought it was a one-on-one just with Ambrose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, there was some stuff going on, some chicanery with Eva that I believe Hage and someone was involved with.
O'Connor,
right?
Yep.
We hadn't gotten very far with that, I don't think.
No, we had determined that it was not the information that caused Eva to shut down, but the actual, I think the actual accessing the information is what she determined as a breach.
I believe the term she used was violation.
Violation, yes. We were looking into the RNA change to determine what the RNA change was intended to do.
Right.
I think that's where we left off with that.
Weird diseased biogel pack.
Yes.
Stuff.
Right. That was an
brain funky.
Right. That was a extended task that we had not yet completed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we're missing? Anybody got anything else we missed? I think that pretty much covers most everything.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, yeah, the interrogating the Vulcans was a direct result of Secret Agent Tong
Yes.
and whatnot. So let's start actually with dealing with the O'Connor and Hage. Looking into the
Oh, let me fix that.
RNA sequence. You guys we'll start out with a quick roll. That way, if we got to build up some momentum, we can do it quick and early. You guys were in one of these type things. It wasn't this one, but whatever. This is close enough. So give me a quick roll. I'm losing all my stuff here. I have just totally broken this. So, give me a roll. The roll should be what we were talking about, reason and science earlier, I think, or
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think reason and science with a side of some kind of engineering.
Can I assist with command?
Yeah, I believe we had allowed that before.
We're gonna change that. for a minute.
I have the advisor trait or the advisor talent, which lets me reroll. O'Connor can reroll if they choose to. If I assist with command.
Right.
And I presume my newfound focus of positronic systems will apply here.
Yeah.
I assist.
I get a complication.
You can
Sad
reroll.
panda.
You can reroll that. You can reroll that.
Let's reroll that.
To a 20.
Much better.
7. So
2
that's
successes.
3 total, I think.
3 total. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That'll give you guys 2 additional questions or momentum, your choice.
Oh no.
2.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. So yeah, the RNA sequence that you guys that'll pretty much succeed. Go ahead and roll the work, but I'm pretty sure you're going to succeed because you only have a difficulty of 2, so that would be 1. You have 1 momentum, and you have 1 work remaining. So, and you'll get all your thresholds here. So go ahead and give a work roll just for the sake of completeness.
That's just my science, right? No, it's science plus
It's 2, I think 2 plus your science.
2 plus science. Okay. All right. That.
So
Nice.
8. Oh yeah, no, you definitely have destroyed that. Even barring resistance and everything else, you've succeeded in that. So you don't even need to spend your momentum for anything. So after dealing with the RNA, you get in there, nice and deep into the RNA, like you do. And what you discover is that this sequence is specifically are eroding pathways between data. They're essentially like, it's essentially working in a similar way to something like dementia. It's destroying pathways between memories. The data is still there. It just can't be accessed by the AI.
Okay.
And specifically, it looks to be dealing with certain types of communications and things like that. It is clearly there to mask the sending of data external to the ship. So you can backtrack a lot of the where the data paths should be, and you can see that it is, in fact, it is blocking essentially the logs that Tong was searching for earlier. The logs of where the of messages being sent and where they would be sent from. So you will have access to some of that information, which I think is something Tong and Delphine were also working on.
Tong and Silva.
Tong and Silva, right?
Can it be reversed?
Yeah, a new gel pack. Well, reverse no, but a new gel pack being put in would be fine. It fixes essentially
what do you
fixes the
mean?
problem.
Hold on. When you say it can't be reversed, what does that mean?
She can't just. I mean, the information is already there. She can't just rebuild.
Can't
the
recreate the
pathways.
pathways, but a new gel pack will, with
Will-
the already there pathways, will fix the problem.
Yeah, she
Okay.
eventually will regain. Like it's there's no harm done to Eva specifically. It is, just that there are neural pathways that are not there anymore. She has memories she can't get back. She could create new ones. And as long as the gel pack is not there, it will not automatically delete those pathways.
Okay. Would it be possible for a project at a later date to save this damaged gel pack and experiment on it?
Sure.
So O'Connor at some point, just a side note, will be keeping that gel pack to try and study how this happened and how it can be reversed eventually.
Right. Okay. Well, you guys, as I said, you find the information you're looking for. Basically, at least you understand how it's done. Like this will help. This will certainly help the ensigns, the ensign and the lieutenant anyway, complete their investigation, because it gives them a much narrower field of places to search. So, I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to role play there, or
Does this, without bringing Eva back online, does this give us an idea of why she felt violated?
probably not. Seems to be unrelated.
Okay.
Good Lord. All the messages.
Captain, I will replace this with a new gel pack, and that should fix the essentially synapse issue. As to Eva shutting down the EMH and feeling violated, I don't think we'll get that answer until we boot her back up.
All right. Well, before we boot her back up, I want you to check every other gel pack to do a level 3 diagnostic. I want every single one checked to make sure that none of the others are affected the same way. The last thing we need is to bring her back and then for it to spread once again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Nothing else with that scene?
No.
All right. Let's do the intro. Hopefully this works. I had to move stuff around with the new Google Drive. So let's see if the intro works. Clearly not.
Clearly.
That, I find that logic specious, but
Most illogical, Captain.
So Ambrose, you are on Narendra Station. You head out to meet with the sub commander, and the location that she invited you to meet her at is a much lower deck lounge. When you get there, it's extremely clean and uninhabited. It doesn't look like it's really hardly ever used. But it's got a nice view of, you can see the Europa from there, and all the things that are going on outside. It's one of those 360-degree views. All right. I think we're back. That was a weird power failure. Not power failure, but power failure. Weird failure of some sort. This is what happens when you mess around with Eva. Anyways, where we left off was the lower lounge that Ambrose has been invited to with Toshari. The sub-commander is sitting at a table alone. There are no other... there are no other officers. There's no one else in the room. It's just the two of you. And as you enter the room, she smiles and kind of gestures. And sitting in front of her, there is a glass. Sitting in front of her and instead of front of where you would be sitting, there is a glass. Get my images back up here. Commander Ambrose, I'm so glad, so pleased that you were able to join me.
Of course, Sub-Commander. I always have time for meeting with somebody as important as yourself.
Of course. Tea. She gestures to the cup in front of you.
Thank you.
I tried to remember what tea Ambrose likes, and I cannot remember. I remember it was tea, but I can't remember what it was. But that is the tea that is in front of you.
Okay. It's an English, a dark English breakfast with milk and honey.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Darjeeling for some reason, but then I realized that was me.
We have drink preferences on the character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I knew it was somewhere. I just couldn't remember where they were. Like I was looking for it, and
We keep all the important things on that sheet.
all the important stuff.
All the important.
So, oh yeah, drink of choice: breakfast, English breakfast tea with milk and honey. Milk and it doesn't tell me what. It just says milk and. So yeah, that is what is in front of you. I hope it is to your liking, Commander. Sorry, wrong rank, wrong service.
Well, at least it wasn't another damn demotion.
It's something of a promotion, actually. Sub-commander is equivalent to nearly captain, essentially. Again, I'm grateful for your time. How does the search go for your security violation?
Sort of raise an eyebrow at her.
Feel
Because
free.
last I reported, everything was A-okay.
Yes.
We're looking into some things. I'm not going to bother denying a minor security breach. It's something that's been reported to the station, and we're handling it.
Most excellent. With all the potential security risks that everyone must deal with on a daily basis, it is no slight against a ship such as the Europa to only have had the one so far, that I'm aware of anyways. On a personal note, though, Commander, how have you been? It's been some time since I've seen you. It's our tour of the Europa.
Yes, I suppose it has. We've been kicking around this edge of space for a while now. It's been an interesting time. We found some interesting things. And then, of course, war broke out, so I'm right at home.
I can only imagine. It's a shame, really. The peace between the Federation and the Romulans and the Klingons was nice while it lasted.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily over. We're dealing with a small rogue problem that should be cleaned up quite quickly should we all work together, as we've demonstrated before in the face of a much more dangerous opponent.
A much more direct opponent, not necessarily more dangerous. How much do you know, Commander, about what is going on beyond the Klingon troubles?
It's a fairly direct question for such a public, unofficial location.
It's a very secure location. And honestly, if you are right about some of the things that you believe you are right about, then time may be a factor.
I'm not one for being incredibly coy. You know my stance. I think we can all work together here, and I think it benefits all of our people. I'm not going to play this game of cat and mouse with Romulan intelligence and whatnot. You know things, we know things. Yes, this Klingon insurrection group, and that really is what it is going after Iconian technology, and they seem to be quite far along in the process. And we have on good authority that they've been moving in and out of your empire to a world that is most likely Iconia. That's a problem for everybody.
Indeed, it is. Everything that I can find seems to corroborate your belief. However, there is a very dangerous element in play that, should I be able to help you, could very easily result in a Romulan civil war, which would be far worse, I think, than this Klingon insurrection.
I think the Romulans have done a very good job of concealing just how close you've been to civil war for a very long time now.
You know a great deal. She takes a sip of her drink and looks down at it. There is an agent aboard your ship. I have placed them there with the intent of gaining as much knowledge as I can about your ship. But far more important, to be a counterpoint to any Tal Shiar intelligence that may be interested in your vessel. I have no doubt you will find my agent. When you do, I wanted you to know who they worked for.
So you're willing to inform me that you've been actively spying on a Federation vessel, yet you won't divulge who this agent is. This isn't a game we're playing. I'm sure it would be fun for everyone to poke around and play investigator, but we're on a time crunch here. There are important matters in this sector that need to be dealt with.
I do not disagree. Tell me, Commander, what do you know of the Bajoran orbs?
I was stationed on Bajor for quite some time. It was the front of the Dominion War for quite some time. I have not had a direct orb experience before, but I know a bit about the religious significance of these artifacts.
She just kind of looks at you intensely, with a great deal of an intense look for several seconds. And then
I'm not gonna press, but I mean, she's Romulan, so she could just kind of wall me off. But if she's trying to convey something or send something, I want to throw up my psychic radar.
Sure. You have a hard time, as before with her, you have a hard time getting anything from her. But there's definitely a deep curiosity that she has at the moment, directed towards you.
I must say that, at least as far as I'm concerned, this is a fairly quick turn to our conversation. What brings up Bajoran religion?
I was hoping you could answer that question yourself, Commander. I have had recent experiences with an orb. However, I do not believe that is necessarily relevant to the conversation, as you suggested. She kind of goes back to sipping her tea. I simply had a theory to test, Commander.
The Bajoran orbs work in ways, from what I understand. They're not direct, and they're very hard to interpret, especially for somebody who has not read their scriptures or are all that ingrained in the faith behind it. Of course, that sort of logic's thrown out the window when you consider the emissary, if you want to refer to him as such, was a human federation.
Yes. I have never been to Bajor. I do not know any Bajorans. But I have seen a connection. Having more tech problems over here.
Oh.
I have seen a connection with the orb, and I suspect that I have seen a connection through the orb, and I suspect that it has something to do with our current situation. Or maybe it does not, but better safe than sorry.
Well, it's something we'll have to be aware of. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to predict how an orb experience will influence anything.
Agreed. However, as a result of in an effort to better understand all the things that I have in front of me, I am going to assist the Federation. That is incorrect. I'm going to assist you, Commander. This would be something that is outside the scope of my position on the station. But I am going to assist you in reaching Iconia. She sets her tea down for a second and pushes a button on her wrist, and off to your side, out the port window, decloaks a large Romulan warbird. Stop.
I always assume there's at least one of those out there.
Yes. One of these. Not a large Romulan warbird, but a big Romulan warbird.
Like compared to the Europa.
Yeah, it's about so it's a little bit bigger than a covort, so it's about the size of the Europa.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit smaller. And we'll go ahead and put the scene on hold for a second, and go to the interrogation. And hope to God I'm pacing this correctly, which I'm probably not.
So I think we wrapped up that interrogation.
You wrapped up the one with Vren.
Yeah.
She was going to join. She was going to join an interrogation with the group to interrogate the next Vulcan.
Okay, I think 3 people interrogating might be a bit much. So Koba will sit this out.
Okay. He could be sitting behind the screen watching.
Sure. Yeah.
So we had. I lost track of all.
Oh no! Wait. Are we going to be interrogating NPCs? Or
yeah, this will be interrogating a Vulcan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, cool.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this idea much. I just kind of threw it out there in the middle of the night one time because I couldn't sleep, and then we didn't.
That's fine.
Get back to it. So I don't know where we were going with this. I just.
It was just. I think it was mostly an opportunity for Vren to get a little bit more screen time, and possibly throw a red herring in there. Although that's probably not going to happen now. So, just because I've had a character already tell you there is clearly a spy on board. So, we'll resolve that shortly. But Specialist Vren and Koba is over here behind the glass, sneaking around. Let me put this somewhere where he can sneak.
Well, and Mills is there, I assume, right?
Yeah, Mills is still there. Koba is.
I feel like Koba's version of sneaking is, walking around quietly, muttering to himself about how well he's sneaking.
He's
Yes.
doing
I am the
don't be-
best at sneaking. This is
He's doing
he's,
the
he's
don't
just
be suspicious.
Yeah, don't be
Right.
suspicious. No, don't be suspicious. Yeah, that's totally Koba.
Mhm.
Here, I'll put him
He's-
behind Mills
he's
that
the
way.
Drax of sneaking.
Yeah. Mhm.
There. All right. So you bring in one of the other Vulcans. I'm going to say Lieutenant Tamarek, because I've been wanting to use that name for a while.
Okay.
It's a name of a road in Toledo that I drive by all the time, and I'm thinking
Ah.
that would make a good Vulcan name, and so here it is. Vulcan Tamarek. Tamarek is a lieutenant. He has been serving in Starfleet for some time, and he is known to. He is in the science division, but he is known to be quite proficient with replicator technology and transporter technology and so stuff of that nature. So it kind of fits the next most appropriate suspect. So he is sitting quite straight backed. His uniform is quite neatly pressed. His hair is immaculately Vulcan, and his ears appear to be slightly waxed and shined because Vulcans. Officer Mills,
Lieutenant.
I trust this will be a short interrogation. Gotta find a better accent than that.
That's entirely up to you.
I am, of course, willing to be as cooperative as possible. Specialist Varen, it is good to see you. As he holds up the live long and prosper thing.
It is agreeable as well.
Please, proceed with your questions.
As you know, there has been sabotage aboard the ship, discovered by a member of your own team. There seems to have been some sort of communication device cleverly disguised as transporter tech, in a way.
He raises an eyebrow.
Or rather disguised to make it look as though someone was using, I'm sorry, I misspoke, replicator, not transporter. Disguised to look as though a replicator was being used to send out communication. Well outside my wheelhouse, but very well within yours.
Indeed, that is a great amount of. It would take a great deal of technical skill, certainly within my purview and my ability.
Yes. How long have you been in Starfleet, Lieutenant?
I have been in Starfleet twice. This is my second tour, my second enlistment in Starfleet. For a grand total of 6 years.
Was there a gap in your service, or did you re-up immediately?
There was about a 15-year gap in my service.
And what were you doing during that gap?
I had returned to Vulcan with the intent of assisting my wife in raising our child.
With the intent. But
But unfortunately, our child was lost.
my condolences. What happened?
A war with the Dominion happened.
How old was he?
He had been on Vulcan for 14 years when he passed, when he was killed.
Where had he been prior to Vulcan?
He was born on a starship, a Federation starship. My wife and my son spent approximately 1 year on a Starfleet vessel. We both, my wife and I, left Starfleet to raise our child until his death. It made logical sense to return to Starfleet since I no longer had the obligation of my family.
Good way to get revenge, too.
Revenge is a very human emotion, and it's quite illogical. The Dominion War is already over.
There are definitely pockets of people who think otherwise. For some, the Dominion War will never be over.
I have heard this argument before. I suspect that there are some aboard this ship who believe the same. I am not one of them.
Mills just looks to Varen and kind of nods toward the lieutenant.
He looks at Vren.
It is always unfortunate when a family loses a child. They are very important to our continued existence. My condolences on your loss.
He nods slightly.
It must be a trying time, even for our people. Especially knowing that such a thing could happen aboard a starship or aboard one of the most secure original members of the Federation. That must have been taxing.
It was definitely a troubling experience. The knowledge that the vulnerabilities, that we are exposed to such vulnerabilities despite the fact that we have such advanced technologies and safety measures in place. That the Federation provides a certain level of perhaps false security. However, it is my intent and my purpose in Starfleet to help ensure that those grievous errors are resolved as quickly as possible.
An admirable goal, if it is one that can be ever really achieved.
All we can do is strive for perfection.
I suppose then you would agree that it is quite unfortunate the most recent lapse in that security resulting in this meeting.
Agreed. It is a continuation of the troubling notion that I have otherwise been seated with. This ship should be far more secure, and any breach of its security is a poor reflection on its officers and the Federation.
I suppose then you must take in some small way, personal accountability for such a breach, being one of the experts aboard this ship in a central piece of the technology that was compromised. I do find it interesting that it was one of the ensigns underneath your charge that got so far in this investigation when apparently you had not.
It is, in fact, further amount of disheartenment. Ensign Tong has been, from what reports I have read, quite diligent in his efforts. I was unaware of the breaches that he had discovered, and that Lieutenant O'Connor
Nope.
has.
Ensign.
Oh, I thought she was lieutenant.
Nope.
Oh,
Mills
Silva's
is the
lieutenant. Yeah,
That too.
Silva's lieutenant. Yeah. And put your guys' ranks on your things over here too. So, the ensign O'Connor also has proven herself very efficient in her investigation. It is testament to our training program in Starfleet, I unfortunately do feel some responsibility for the failure to discover it myself.
Bren raises an eyebrow. You clearly take a lot of pride in your work.
As one should. Pride is the incorrect word, but
Bren sort of
one's work is a reflection of oneself. I wish that work reflect well for myself, well for me.
Huh?
Bren does nod back at Mills.
Were we to presume that this particular piece of espionage and sabotage were your own work, that is certainly a testament to your capability and to yourself, as you said.
Perhaps, but it would be illogical for me to take credit for something that I did not do, or to feel any kind of satisfaction from a job that I did not perform. Being unable to locate this espionage, as you put it, is more of a reflection of my inability than it is not. Had I performed these breaches, it would be definitely a skilled performance, and one that would be quite satisfying. The satisfaction I do not feel the satisfaction, no, as I did not do this. I have no way to say that without sounding really stupid, so I said it as stupidly as I could. It's hard to be Vulcan sometimes.
Yeah, right.
I understand your concern, Lieutenant. Yeah, you're Lieutenant, right?
Yes.
Mills, Lieutenant? Yeah. I understand your concern, Lieutenant. And I wish you all the luck in finding your culprit. Do you believe that I am responsible?
I believe it would be logical. However, I am not an officer of this ship. I believe it would be logical that given any amount of suspicion and his expertise, that he do be confined to quarters until this matter is resolved.
I think
Go ahead.
you are correct, Specialist. And to answer your question, Lieutenant, to use your own way of thinking with no mockery intended, it would be illogical of me to come to any sort of conclusion before we've completed our investigation.
I agree. I am a likely suspect. I do lack I do possess the ability and the opportunity.
Indeed.
He just kind of nods.
These officers will escort you back to your quarters, and I will let you know when the investigation is finished. Thank you for your time.
If you have any more questions, Lieutenant, please. Specialist Varen. He kind of nods. And then is escorted out. If you guys have anything else you want to do, Koba obviously watched all of that, so you can hop in there in that conversation if you want to. Otherwise, we can jump back to the next scene.
Mills will turn to Varen. You know, obviously, Vulcans far better than I. It's difficult for me to come to a conclusion one way or the other. Every time I think I have an answer nailed down, the opposite argument is immediately thrown in my face. He makes a good point that with his logic that, or with his beliefs that your work is representation of who you are, that were he our suspect, he would feel pride, and he does not. At the same time, the Romulans are nearly as well schooled at maintaining an even keel demeanor as the Vulcans. So he could very well be lying and lying well. What do you think?
If you are indeed on the hunt for a Romulan spy, specifically one who may be from the Tal Shiar, you are correct. It would be very difficult to ascertain them from any deep cover that they wish to put themselves in, whether it be Romulan, human, Klingon. They are quite well trained, from what I understand. However, he did behave in a most logical manner, agreeing with your points, offering counterpoints, and still resigning to the proper security measures without any argument. Of course, with the skills shown by our saboteur, even within their own quarters, could still be quite problematic, but at least easier to surveil.
Yes.
I do believe it would be most illogical for an embedded operative to fabricate such an emotional story as the loss of one's child, as it is quite difficult to contain. I believe he did so appropriately. So either that story was not a fabrication, or he was turned after such a fact was irrelevant.
Or he was able to maintain his composure because the story was complete bunk. Hard to get worked up over something that isn't true.
There are minor tells that Vulcans have. I'm sure you are aware that we are not without emotion. We simply do a very good job of hiding it. I do not doubt that he suffered a loss. I also do not doubt that that loss has been processed appropriately. Unfortunately, I don't believe it can ever be entirely possible to break through the mental discipline of either a Vulcan or a Romulan. You will need some other corroborating evidence beyond insightful interrogation analysis.
I think you are completely right. I think the difference between a well-trained Romulan spy and a Vulcan are very, very small.
I believe it is the personal touches that you need to look for. You may not be aware, but Romulans are extremely attached to their families. I believe even the creation of such a story would instill some amount of even hypothetical emotional response from a Romulan.
Koba will say, I've got an idea. This is going to sound crazy. But what if we get a turtle, put it upside down, have him walk by the turtle, see if he picks it up. If he picks it up, Romulan?
What?
Because emotion. Because Vulcans don't feel emotion, so they would just pass on by the turtle.
But wouldn't I forgive me for speaking for your people, Varen. Wouldn't a Vulcan also see that a life form is in distress and it would logically make sense to flip it over?
I think the most logical counterpoint to this argument would be to question why there is an upside down turtle aboard a starship.
Or a turtle at all.
I hadn't figured that.
It would be extremely suspicious.
Fair enough. Fair
Don't
enough.
be
Let's
suspicious.
we'll move on to Plan B.
As he puts Turtle back in its cage.
Mills is laughing. I am laughing in character and out of character. You have actually broken Mills out of her super professional, I'm on the clock demeanor.
I am doing my best Tuvok impression here, trying to keep myself contained.
We'll compose yourself. We will keep that in our back pocket, I suppose.
Well, maybe we should continue with the interrogations. Maybe talk to somebody else for now, and then we can always circle back to this one.
Yes. What do we have left?
Well, let's see. The bartender, Teketh.
Well,
I do find it unusual that a Vulcan would serve upon a Federation vessel as someone so integral to your human social structures. It is not a profession that most Vulcans would strive for. Not only do we do very little drinking, but we do not socialize in the manner that a bartender usually facilitates.
Well, on Bolia, our bartenders are some of the most respected people on the planet.
according to
Mighty.
the roster, I believe he is only half Vulcan. Maybe his human side likes being social and making drinks.
Well, how about I go ahead and how about I take this one, Mills? I and Dr. Bren, and you can watch us from the window this time.
All right, but leave the turtle in your pocket.
Look, it's just in case. Never hurts to have a turtle. That's what my mama always used to say.
All right.
Okay.
She will exit the room.
Okay. I was going to do something else before that, but we'll just jump right into that because that actually makes perfect sense.
Yep.
So, some other things happen in the sidelines that are all like, commercials and whatnot.
Sure.
And then put those sultry eyes down there to. And when you isolate her eyes, they are way too sultry.
They are a little.
So, we'll come back into Teketh and Varen and Koba, and this is really all you guys. So, the bright lights of the interrogation room are shining down on the Vulcan, and his cake makeup is sweating slightly. But
All four of them.
yes, all four of them. It's amazing how much that picture looks like a Vulcan, that Varen picture, and she doesn't have pointy ears. Like, you see the Vulcan in that face.
I
yet there's
worked
no
really
pointy
hard to
ears.
make that.
Yeah, it's well done.
It's good.
So, all right, go ahead.
Well,
Lieutenant?
So, bartender, an odd job for a Vulcan to have, don't you think?
You are certainly not wrong.
So what made you decide to pick up the marble glasses, as we like to say on Folia.
When one faces tragedy, even as a Vulcan, there comes a point that too much is too much. I felt a change of scenery was in order. And the Europa has provided just that.
It's got to be hard being away from your family like that.
Had I had any family left, I would agree with you.
Did something happen to your family?
Indeed. My wife died of chorecytosis about a year before I joined the Europa.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Seems to have that's a rather emotional response to run off into the middle, into the ass end of space in response to a death like that.
There was nothing left for me on Vulcan.
He'll turn to Varen.
It has been a rough time for many of us, whether it be through our own personal tragedies or the tragedies of war. You must have other family, however. Parents? Siblings?
My parents passed away years and years ago.
That is unfortunate. It can be difficult to lose one's parents at such a young age.
It was their time.
From what I understand, you are only half Vulcan. I hope it is not too much of a personal question, but as a student of history and various cultures, I am curious what the other side of your upbringing entailed.
An appreciation for the finer things in life, for the creative side, which, well, Vulcans do appreciate creativity in a much more subtle form.
Do you like things being subtle? Is that a particular sphere of interest for you? Subtlety?
Not particularly.
So who do you write to? Your family's all gone, wife's gone, no kids, I assume. So who do you write to off the ship?
I don't.
So you're telling me if we were to search all the records, we wouldn't find a single thing from you?
You would not.
Wow, we'll just have to check those records, I suppose.
Understandably so. The crew here keep me as company as I need it. That was a weird way to word that.
Vulcaning is hard today.
Vulcaning is hard today. I pass my time creating new themes for the lounge, trying to cater to everyone's tastes. This is a small crew, luckily for me and my creative juices, but it is a varied crew.
Gotta find that frustrating sometimes. having such demanding crew.
You're not demanding. Not demanding in the way you mean it. More inspiring.
Inspiring. That's an interesting way to phrase it. What do you think, Dr. Brown?
I find it difficult to relate to such a profession or such a sphere of social influence. I did not have the same upbringing that
No.
you have had, Teketh. I
Most
suppose without
Vulcans don't.
any other more personal connections, that you spend most of your time here amongst the lounge or otherwise socializing with the crew.
That I do. When I'm not sleeping, as one needs to, or researching, as I said, I spend a lot of time creating new drinks, planning new menus, themed nights and themed events in the lounge, attempting to make the Europa feel a little more like home.
Who's home?
Everyone's home.
I suppose that is different to everybody.
Yes. I know you don't spend much time in the lounge, Doctor. So you have likely not noticed that 10 Forward goes out of its way to celebrate all of the different holidays that the crew members might observe.
I suppose that is an important part of a social structure aboard such a multi-ethnic vessel.
Important to social structure, important to keeping morale up. And
Morale is not generally a Vulcan concern.
no, but morale is important to ensuring the ship doesn't explode or go haywire, or unrest causes mutiny and we wind up drifting aimlessly into space.
I suppose as the, if not center, but facilitator of a large amount of the social organization of this ship, that you must hear a lot of interesting stories. I suppose if something were to happen, that you would be the first to know.
Generally, there are many aboard the ship who would sooner confide in their bartender than go to the counselors.
It must allow for a very unique perspective for gauging various cultures and psychologies. Perhaps one of these days I might have to join you and observe these experiments.
I would gladly give you a place behind my bar, Doctor. I'll even teach you how to do the glass flip.
A most illogical means of serving a drink. However,
Illogical,
most of your drinks
but they
are,
enjoy it.
I suppose that is the service you provide.
Yes.
You must hear a lot of things in your position as bartender.
Do?
What's the most interesting thing you've heard?
I'm afraid I can't divulge that.
I see, the private sort.
I have a responsibility to my patrons. They expect, just as they would from the counselors, they expect a level of confidentiality and trust.
Yeah. That's very nice of you. to be so considerate of your fellow person here on the crew.
It's part of the job.
Of course, if you did hear anything that compromised the security or well-being of this vessel, that you would report it to a Starfleet officer.
Certainly.
Could we take just an out of character moment real quick to talk about where we want this scene to go? Because it feels like we're kind of becoming a little bit circular.
Drifting. Yeah. I was about to drop a thing in the Discord and realized I didn't have my Discord open. So
I forgot when I originally had this idea that Teketh was not full Vulcan and was not even trying to appear full Vulcan. So Varen's whole "I'm going to elicit an emotional response and that's going to give it away" sort of line of thinking does not work for this situation.
Maybe we can settle with a roll to see if us working together is able to get it from him, or
or at least some kind of insight check. I don't know what that would like.
Yeah, sure. I was going to suggest you guys bring up something about positronic systems because Teketh, whoever did this, has some kind of knowledge of deep understanding of positronic systems. But yeah, no, I'm fine with doing a roll because I think we're heading kind of in a slow direction. I think we've kind of lost the momentum of the investigation. So go ahead and do an insight, and it's probably either command or security.
The interrogation has a security focus, so
yeah,
if that helps.
Yeah, and I think either one of those would be fine. Like either security or command would be fine. I can see a justification for either of those. So
I assume you'll roll the main roll analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do it that way.
Varen is not very good at insight command.
I'll go ahead and use momentum.
Or insight security, really.
Yeah.
Right. Insight security is even worse.
Well, not a great roll.
But yeah, I'd say that makes the most. Could Varen? Let me just throw this out. Could Varen could I argue for an insight science as she's going about this through a more intellectual, methodical, like trying to break down
anthropological
anthropological cultural analysis sort of situation?
I think judging based on the Varen's specialty, I would allow it because she is an anthropologist.
Cool.
And I actually got 3 successes there. So
okay.
So that's a target of 13. That dice bounced all over the place. And another success. Awesome.
Nice.
All right, so 4 successes. That is going to be contested. So you're going to roll a contested roll there, Evelyn.
Right. Which I'm going to fail because I built him with all the wrong numbers.
You'll be using either, I'm going to say probably control to maintain your whatnots, and
not presence. Isn't control usually more manual?
Presence would be probably the better one. I was looking right at the word presence and didn't see it.
Security might be applicable too.
I would say either command or security.
In that case, can I flip my numbers? Because actually I put 11 in control because I was thinking like self-control, not physical control.
That's actually where I was thinking about it just now too. That's why I didn't do that. So I would say that is probably the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Just switch those two, and it's not going to make a big difference either way because
no,
not a huge change. And then it's either
security.
I would say command or security. Your security is higher, so you're probably roll security.
Not by a whole lot, but I'll take it.
Not by a whole lot, but yeah.
Have I lost my thing? All right,
and
so
getting 4 successes is going to be practically impossible for you anyways. So.
Yeah, no. And 2, and my focus of espionage will work.
Or persuasion, either one of those. Or persuasion.
Twice the focus is twice the fun. Twice the failing the fucking roll.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of as you guys continue your investigation, your questioning, you start getting into more of where did you get this education? How did you know this? How did that kind of stuff? A little bit more. It's a long and hard interrogation.
And I feel like Teketh is being evasive in a non-Vulcan sort of way.
Sure.
And part of that is Evelyn is not good at being a Vulcan, but you are not incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah, evasive in a non-Vulcan sort of way, and an emotional response that isn't necessarily,
Vulcanish.
yeah, Vulcan-ish. So like even like Spock or other half Vulcan, half other, usually have some sort of there's a structure to their emotional discipline, and I don't think that structure is exactly what Teketh is displaying.
Right. And you kind of get the feeling that things are getting kind of circular with the way he's talking and his evasions. So yeah, you definitely get the idea that there's something more going on here. But he's obviously very skilled at the evasion. I don't know what you want to get from that role, but certainly a high probability suspect here. Like, I don't know if you wanted to get him to I don't think he's going to admit to it.
I feel like we should reasonably suspect him, but not have any proof, like not
Right,
get a full confession.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fine. I think that is you have more than reasonable suspicion, but not reasonable. Nothing that is convincing beyond reasonable doubt.
All right, so we'll tell him to wait here, and we'll see about getting him checked out. Then we'll go out and talk with Mills, and Kobo will be like, "He did it. I'm sure of it. He did it."
Hold the turtle up. I know he did it.
Can we do the turtle test just in case?
I think it most illogical to jump to such a direct conclusion, but I would agree that Teketh does not display a response that I would find typical to somebody of their heritage and upbringing.
His interrogation did run quite differently than all of the rest of the interrogations we've conducted today.
I think I'm going to go search his quarters, see if I can't find any kind of tech gizmos.
I think we need to run that by the commander first, Koba.
Sure, but I think
even in a security matter, I would hope aboard a Starfleet vessel that there is some amount of privacy and decorum.
Yes. Hence why we need to run it by the commander first.
Which is fair, but I feel like we've got reasonable. Yeah, we'll run it by the command, but I do feel like we've got reasonable cause.
I don't disagree. Well, as reasonable as, yes. I think as reasonable as we're going to get given the situation.
We need to find that smoking gun.
The good doctor is absolutely correct. There, even amongst civilians, there are procedures to follow, and there is a level of privacy that should be able to be expected aboard a ship.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna go digging into his dirty magazines, but
Wasn't Niman I needed.
Well, anyway, I'll call it into the commander. Then,
right.
You know what? I don't think he's going to call it in on like the comm badge.
No.
Security purposes. But he'll send like an encrypted message to Ambrose saying what the results were, and then maybe we should cut to another scene.
Yeah, I was going to cut to Ambrose actually on because I think Ambrose getting that message while he is with the Romulan would be
fantastic.
Would be what I was going for pacing wise.
Right. Sure.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't come through the comm badge. That would be like a data packet sent to.
I would assume you've probably got like a pad with you or something like that, just because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I suppose.
Narrative convenience.
All those pockets that Starfleet uniforms have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're all business. You probably had questions you wanted to ask or had a list,
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, as you're talking, the ship decloaks about the time that your little pad beeps, and she stands and heads towards the window, looking out at the ship.
I'll stand and walk over to the viewport and look between the two very different ships. Both very fine works of ingenuity.
Yes.
I need to get out of my Vulcan.
Right. Yes. This will be an unauthorized activity. Even the Romulan command would not approve of what I'm going to do. But I will take you, a small group of you, into Romulan space and to Iconia. We can reach that destination under cloak. You will, of course, as she turns to you and kind of reapplies her more strict demeanor. You will, of course, be required to maintain. You will be required to remain in your quarters aboard ship the entire trip.
It's an awfully large vessel with, and I assume, an appropriate sized crew to escort a small contingent.
It is unfortunate the ship I have available to me. And yes, it is a full complement. One of the many reasons why you may need to remain in your quarters. It may actually be advisable for you to. She kind of looks from ear to ear on you, like from each of your ears across your face, kind of a dress more appropriately.
I'm quite experienced at blending in. I suppose this would be a completely unnecessary ruse to abduct a small amount of Starfleet officers, even a commander, I'm sure. I'm not that valuable.
I would agree with that statement, Commander. If I were looking to abduct anything from the Europa, it would be the Europa itself. Or perhaps its captain, who has intimate knowledge of the Europa's more advanced functions.
Of course, the Starfleet captain and the first officer can't be on the same mission, so he will remain aboard the Europa.
She turns and heads back towards the table. I suspect that he's going to have his own mission fairly soon. General Martok is making good progress. I will give you several hours, Commander. I know that it will take some time, and you'll have to convince your captain to allow a small group of people to be absconded with on a Romulan vessel. But time is of the essence, as you said.
I understand that you're going out on a limb here. You have just as much at stake, if not more, than I do in agreeing to this venture. I'm going to play ball.
She kind of does the almost a Vulcan eyebrow, like when you say play ball. Like, just trying to figure out what the hell that means. She gets it from context, obviously, but
What size team do you think would be appropriate to the accommodations you will be providing us?
I would keep it limited to those who you know you can trust and who are efficient at accomplishing a covert operation such as this. No more than 5, please. Any additional you need, I would be happy to supplement with Romulans. This is, after all, a Romulan matter, to some extent anyways. The level of risk that I am taking, Commander, goes far beyond, I think, what you know. We must succeed. Failure in this operation will result almost assuredly in the Praetor's demise.
And the faltering of the Romulan Empire and a great security risk to the Federation.
Indeed.
Not to mention Klingon issues.
I believe that if the Tal Shiar is backing Duras's play, or Tural's play, and the Praetor no longer maintains power, it would mean a fundamental change and shift in power in this sector, one that I do not believe the Federation can survive, especially given the losses that we have all suffered during the Dominion Wars. Make sure you bring your best. She kind of smiles.
We'll bring the best that Starfleet has to offer. And we will, of course, be acting as Starfleet officers. I very much appreciate your assistance. And this will be a joint matter. But I am nothing if not a product of my upbringing. I'm sure you can understand.
I believe that we are in agreement. I believe that Starfleet is the best, most capable group to deal with this particular situation.
That's high praise.
I also believe you've received a message recently. By all means, allow me to excuse myself. It has been a pleasure speaking with you again, and I look forward to seeing you soon. She picks up her glass and sets it in the replicator, but does not recycle it. She stops as she's heading towards the door. There's an old Earth saying, a nursery rhyme, I believe. I believe it deals with a plague or something that your civilization dealt with that is somewhat apropos. Ring around with a rosy. She kind of smiles again and leaves the room.
I'll take my teacup over to the replicator. I'm just gonna softly hum that Romulan nursery rhyme, just a couple bars of it before I get to the replicator and phase it out of existence.
Before she leaves the room, or while she's still in the room.
While she's leaving, whatever. She's a perceptive person.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. She looks back over her shoulder as the door closes. That's a good place to stop that one. So you have a message on your tablet,
right?
On your spy pad. Which gives you the information that Teketh is a strong suspect.
It would also ask for permission to search his quarters.
Probably also search the crew lounge and stuff, like anywhere that he spends a lot of time. I would imagine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know this doesn't sound great, but if it was Mills who gave this report and asked for that permission, he'd be like, go right ahead. But Koba, in Ambrose's mind, Koba is not the ideal, embodiment of discretion.
I will point out he is perfectly competent.
Oh yeah.
He has never fucked up. He has just been kind
Energetic, enthusiastic, and carries a turtle in his pocket for some reason. Well armed with turtles.
Yeah.
of.
Do we want to? I mean, I think it would be most appropriate to just give the go ahead because, like,
Yeah.
after an interrogation is like when a person would go and burn documents or whatnot.
Sure.
Ambrose considers like maybe we want to have a debriefing with the captain, and he's like, no, we don't have time for this. This is all internal, and he just sort of types an affirmative over to Koba with a sort of affirmative. Check it out. Be discreet. Let me know.
Okay. Yeah. Koba will definitely be discreet about it. He'll just lead a couple of guys over, including Mills, I assume, and they'll go check
Just
it
a
out.
few guys, a mariachi band.
I was muted and talking to myself. While I was over here talking to myself, I was pointing out.
I thought you were like arguing with the flyer or something.
I mean, I also am arguing with the son of a bitch who won't leave me alone. It is a problem. But I was also attempting to point out that with Toshari telling you that she's got an agent on the ship, it's probably not all that far-fetched to assume that the agent knows they've been made. So time may not necessarily be of the essence.
Yeah.
Still, it's probably best. Like you're right. It probably is the most wise decision to
And
make
Ambrose
the
isn't going to
investigation.
share that
No.
revelation with a bunch of lieutenants.
Sure.
Like that. Ambrose is going straight to Hage at this point. I don't know if that's the next thing we want to do, but Ambrose
that
is
sounds
going
good.
straight to Hage.
I would like to go back to Malini and Tong. I feel
Yeah.
like their investigation is a little bit redundant at this point, since the crew knows who it is. But if we want to like have that be like they find the smoking gun, I think that way it's not just a bunch of wasted.
Yeah, we were working on an extended task. I don't know how far we got. I think we really flubbed our first or second
Yeah,
roll or something.
I think that was actually the extended task that I had the captain and O'Connor finish earlier. Doesn't matter because you guys would definitely succeed in it in this next roll because it was a super. You definitely would have gotten.
Yeah,
it
we
this
only
next
had
roll.
one left.
Yeah, you only had one work left, so you just had to not fail the roll.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to say that with the roll that the captain and O'Connor made earlier, we'll lower the difficulty of your extended task by 1. You're almost guaranteed to succeed. Go ahead and make the roll anyways, just to be sure.
Okay, if you say so.
You guys are going to want some more momentum at some point soon anyway. So, and then I will finish handing off the information that you guys get there.
Who was leading that?
Tong was. Silva was. You're right. Yeah.
I think Silva was leading it from a security standpoint, and Tong was just providing the engineering.
Momentum. That's 2 successes. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, 14. Yeah. Assuming I can use daring.
Sure. And then Tong assists.
And remind me, is this actually going back through the transporter and replicator and power systems and tracing trails, or are we just going through logs?
You had been going through those logs specifically because you had been narrowing it down, but no, it was not actually going back through the power systems. You were going through the logs.
Okay.
I think it was just like a full investigation through like a bunch of different things.
Yeah, along with the information that you guys got from your previous roles and the information that you got from the captain and O'Connor's stuff earlier, you have narrowed the logs down. You have narrowed it down considerably to what you're investigating and like the actual area of investigation. I'll give you something when you make the roll. Basically, you'll have gotten it. You're trying to find out if your power system's role should apply. It can.
Yeah, I'm just asking about focuses. I suppose.
Yeah, go ahead and add that focus. It's
cool. So control engineering. That's a 16 with a focus of 5 or below. That rolled straight off the virtual tray there. Never seen that happen. No.
No, okay.
Tong's all up in his head about this.
Right.
No.
It rolled twice for you there. Apparently the first one just took longer to actually acclimate.
Oh, yeah, because it bounced off the side of the virtual tray and like rolled off the screen. I mean, you can keep whichever one you want, but I suppose the 3 was the one that actually purposely rolled.
Yeah. We'll take the 17. It was the first one you rolled,
Sure,
but it doesn't matter because you got the successes anyways
we got
because Silva
And
got
I think just because of those roles, Tong is like, I don't get this. He's like clearly suffering, and then Silva is like, I got it, and then he's like, oh right, no, I totally got that.
right. Oh, that makes sense. So you got 2 successes, right? Hey, right, Silva.
Correct.
All right. You only needed 1, so you only needed to roll a 1 on the work
I'll put
track,
the
which
other
you're
one-
gonna do.
I'll put the other one back into momentum.
Yep. So yes, you find logs and some other things that lead you to finding one of the spider pusses, the thing that Tong had found earlier. One that is a transmittable one. It is clearly the transmitter version of the one that he was looking at earlier, which is clearly the receiving version. That then it's the other half of the pair is what you've discovered by looking through the logs and whatnot. And you find it in a panel not too far outside of the the main lounge area, and there is, as part of your further investigation, you obviously would do any kind of log searches there, and you can find the command codes and the inputs that go to it, and it is clearly, it is almost positively Teketh. You pretty much have a smoking gun at this point. It is where the commands are entered and how they're entered and accessed, and they're basically sent in through subroutines in a replication thing, and the replicator access is clearly through Teketh. So.
Okay. Well, Silva, as soon as she sees that this is what they found, she is going to go, oh, this is perfect. And then she is going to grab Tong, kiss him on the lips, and then run out of the room.
We can just stop there.
Yeah.
I just picture it ending on that face that Tong is making right now.
Yeah, he's just like.
Also, I'm going to update. Apparently, the storm is a coming.
Yay.
My wife just messaged me saying that it's getting pretty nasty out there. So, again, on the ever watchful, we may lose power again. So, with that in mind, you definitely have the smoking gun between all the work that was done by all the different crew members. Before we get to that, though, let's go ahead and head to the bridge. Monsignor Hage.
Do we want to do this in the bridge or the conference room?
I've got another drop. I'm going to drop another piece of information on the captain. So
Gotcha. Okay.
This is an unrelated yet plot advancing piece of information.
Fair enough.
Is Ambrose in this scene?
You can be if you like to. If I assume you just got aboard ship and are planning to talk to the captain, but a priority message from General Martok has come in.
General Martok, to what do I owe this honor?
It is my honor. I have found General Kargan. His forces are located in the Balduk system, and he has recently claimed the system for the Empire, and the Balduk were defeated, which is no small feat. Those of you who know anything about Starfleet, the Balduk are a pretty potent warrior race. I am planning to strike at Kargan's forces before they have a chance to resupply. I'm requesting the Federation send ships.
Well, I can send word to the space station. However, we're involved in hunting down we're trying to get. We're in rather delicate negotiations with the Romulans in order to get access to their space.
I understand. Do your best, Captain. I hope to see you in battle soon.
Good luck, and be sure and save some honor for the rest of us.
He smiles and the screen goes out.
He'll do exactly what he said. forward that over to the space station. Let them know that if we can get Starfleet.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm back for the
For
moment.
the moment.
I'm not sure. The power flickered a
Is
couple
Jeff
times.
back?
Kind of. He is coming back.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna have power for long, but yeah, it did come back for the moment. It flickered a couple times and then came back. So.
All right, I'm here.
Yeah, I've had a couple flickers, and Sage is super stressed out now.
Yeah.
He was usually I keep the door shut so the dogs don't get disruptive, and usually Sage leaves everything alone, but I thought Jackie came up to use the bathroom. I thought I heard her open the door. What I was hearing was Sage, like gently for Sage, headbutting the door handle, like, hey, I'm nervous, let me in.
Yeah.
Well, Harley's
Now
annoyed,
he's
but it has
licking his
nothing to do with the weather. She just wants food.
Yeah. Oh, for us, it's definitively the weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's raining here, but I don't have the same weather problems you guys do.
Yeah. It's been bad the last couple weeks. Oh, there it goes again.